Now I simulated a few frames. Let's see what would be the result. Remember, we have friction and we have everything, but I think it's just a little more than what we need. There is a good amount of water coming out with the whale, but the water is sticking much, as you can see. Let's move more. Already it's better than before, but a little, yeah. This is a big problem now because it's just full of water. Imagine if we will mesh everything, it will be full of water here, which is not realistic. I need the splash and the foam and some of the mist to be here, but not the water, the water body. And also, I have some of the water is dragged with the wing, but it's not enough. I need some water to spill from here. But this due to the fact that we don't have enough particles, and at the same time, we need to increase the stepping. I can put 2 by 2, 2 by 3, but just more than this. It's good, but I think if we increase the particles, everything will be solved even with these settings. So let's move more. Let's go to 60. We have really interesting pattern here. So the water is dripping and everything looks nice. But again, we don't have anything from here. And this is what worries me the most. We don't have really realistic liquid movement on his back. It looks like the water is just sticking with him. If I will continue till here, the water will be with him, and it's not just realistic. But everything else seems good. So all we need to do is to go to the wheel itself and change these numbers. The first scenario was without friction at all, and this is more than what we want. So I can go middle ground between the two. So let's choose 0.085 as example. And for here, I don't need the friction to affect the particles for a bigger area, let's say a wider area. So I need to decrease this number also. So I can use 0.05 as example, or 5.5. One of these are good. So that's good. We can reset and simulate again, but why not creating some waves? Because now I don't have waves. Let's just create some interesting waves. And remember, this scenario is exactly like the beach scenario. If I will display the displaced container and look at it from the side, actually it looks like the same scenario like the beach. Of course, I have the delete box here, which is this one, which prevents the water from reaching the bottom of this container. But again, as I described the scenario, the real scenario is that the door, which is here, should actually move, which allows the particles to go this direction, but also this box should move down, which allows the particle to interact with the button here. And that will make them roll here. It's like a beach. But let's hide this one and hide this one. The main thing I need now, we need to hide the delete. What I need now is to create some waves and to have these waves guiding everything. And we will create the same way or the same nodes we created for the beach. Actually, we will use some numbers, the same numbers, but I think we are ready. Let's go to diamonds and create ocean force. We will create two of these. The first one for the big waves, which I need them to be rolling like this. And the second one will be for smaller size, and actually it will play a role in breaking the pattern we had in the previous beach scenario. So I can resize it. Just make sure it covers all the sea area or the water area. And again, we don't need it to be high, so it should be on the surface in general. That's cool. Now, maybe I needed to come here again and just cover this area. This is good. So now let's change some parameters and have everything as expected. So the first thing, we can go here and show the field. And if you remember, this box should contain the field. So I can just activate it and I can move it a little, like here. I don't think this node can be rotated here. Let's try. No, there's no rotation values for it. So it's just made to cover an area. So that's what we will do. Yes, actually more. This is it. Now we have an idea about how the waves are moving. The second thing which I can do is that I can not allow the domain to have its particles, to load its particles to speed up the playback. And also I will deactivate the domain totally. I will do that with it does really, I don't need to do that. It doesn't affect much what I'm doing, but let's go again and choose the wave, and I will deselect edit. If I will move a little, I will have some movement here. So it's not the kind of movement I want. Let's change a few things and have everything moving as expected. First, the strength, I will leave this now and we'll come back to it later because I need really to work on just creating some interesting waves and break them in a way. But let's move to the time factor. If you remember in the previous scenario, we have 18 with the same scale, I think, and it was good. It was 27 meters by 20 meters. Now we have like 50 meters, which is the same almost, but the waves were good. So 18 is good. I will keep the same number we put previously. And for the resolution, I will not change it. This is meant to present big waves, so I really don't need to have much details here. For the depth, I need this to be deep, to look deep at least, because the whale here in the first frame or the it looks it's coming from a deep water, and this is what I wanted to look like, a stormy deep water. So I will leave it as 200, and also just remember this work really with this one. So if I have really small number here, this doesn't affect things. If I have the same, let's say near values between this and this one, it will affect more. So I will leave it as it is, and I will jump to the dimension. I want it to look like big scene, so just 500, 550 will work well. The wind speed, I need it to be faster, so we can say like 75 or 60, 70, something which is stormy more. And for the wind direction, if you remember last time we had the wind moving in a certain direction, which is minus 270. And let's just put the same number, or even I can put 270 because I wanted to roll the other way. Now we will see how everything is happening. But as you can see, I have the waves moving this way. We'll fix that. For the wind alignment, I will just change it to, let's say, 4. I need to increase this number because I need it to just to be really waves, big waves, not having this kind of randomization. So I will put just maybe 43. Now, as you can see, this wave will move here, and it will continue moving here until another one comes from here. But again, I want the waves to come from here to here, not like this. We can flip the grid, or we can just change this number. Let's see. But let's continue. For the min wavelength, which is this one, it's 10. It's 0.1. I can change this to 10. It's really big, but let's see what we will get from this. For the weight against wind, as you remember, and we can just check any of these parameters just by going to the parameter and press right mouse button and go here. This parameter is going from 0 to 1, as you remember. In 0, all the waves against the wind will be eliminated, and if it's 1, nothing will be eliminated. So we can just go to middle ground, which is 0.5. And for the seeds, I remember we put a seed there, 401, and it was good. What we can do now is that, let me reduce this number 0.1 for now. It creates really interesting pattern more than that big number. And for here, for the U, I can put 2. Means I have 2 like this, and this is a wide area which I can put 4. This is nice. Now, again, I don't want the wave to come from here to here. What I will do is that I will go here. Again, the same thing we did with C. And I will try to flip this 90 degrees. So let's do it. Just 90 degrees in this direction, or the opposite, because I want the waves to go the opposite direction. Let's display the ocean because now I can't see it really. To make sure that we are in the direction of the ocean. Yes, we need to really rotate it to be like, say, like this. That's enough. That's good. Now we have to change some of its dimensions by going like this. Let's say like maybe 13 is good. Yeah, that covers all the area. And for this, for the length, let's just see it from here. I think this is enough. And else, let's see how the height. Maybe I need to bring it down a little more. Yeah, I want it to be in the middle so it affects the water more. That's it. And other than that, I think we are good. Maybe a little in this direction. Like this. That's it. That's it. That's enough. Now let's just hide these arrows. But before we hide them, let's just make sure that we apply some attenuation. If you remember, I can go down and I can apply some attenuation. Here, let's choose -Z because we want it to be strong here and smaller in this direction. And I will just make it linear. it looks small, but again, we will control the force or change the force based on some procedure. Let's build this procedure. So what I want to do is just really simple is the waves gonna come from here and roll, but they actually will continue doing that all the way. What I want to do is that I want to change one thing. I want them to be on and off during the time. Means I need to generate the wave, then I need to just stop generating anything, then again generate the wave and stop, just to break the pattern and in the same time create something interesting. So how can I do that? Actually, what I can do is that I can go here to the force and start putting some keyframes to the strength. So I will start from 0, and before I do anything, let's hide this presentation because I don't need that really. So this is it. Now let's go to here and press. I don't have curve yet, but I can add some keys to see the curves. So I will start from here by going 0, go to 0, register a keyframe. Then let's move to, let's say 10, and create another keyframe, but let's change the value first. I will say 50. Remember, it was 22 or something like that. Let's say 19. And I will put a keyframe here. Let's see the curve now because we have animation. As you can see, we have this curve. I can go like this, zoom a little. Now I want this to jump from 0 all the way here, 0. There's no wave at all. Then suddenly I need to have a wave. What I can do to do that, I can just choose this and choose a step procedure or curve. So what I can do now is jump to another frame, let's say 50. And I need it in 50 to go to 0 to stop generating the wave again. So let's go 0 and let's do a keyframe. So if we look at it from here, I can choose this and make it a step also. So now I have this one step from 0 to 50. Can I repeat it? I think I can just by choosing this curve, and we can, I think we have something here which is a loop. Now as you can see, we have a loop. It just repeats itself. Means I have just an area here which is quite totally, there's no wave generated from this procedure. That's good. So let's do it again. I can just animate it to see what's gonna happen, but I prefer to just, because everything's delayed, to wait until we create the other one, because we will create another force. So let's duplicate this one. Control D on the keyboard, and I will have another one, and I will hide the ocean and the other force because I want to see just this one. Now to do something different about this one, what I need from this one is to create small pattern of waves. So the value is going to be different. The speed should be the same. Maybe I will change it a little just to have randomization between the two. And for the resolution, there's no need to change it. The depth, I need it to be, the shape of the waves to be a little different. It's not curvy. So I will say 100. We can change these numbers. The scale, the scene scale should be the same. So let's say 400, just any number here, which is the same as 500 was for the big one. And for the speed, I need them to be slower. So let's go back to the original number, which was 30 and the default number. And for the direction, I will put 60 just to have them with angle. And for the min wavelength, I would say let's just leave it as it is. And for the alignment, we can really decrease this number because I don't want it to eliminate all the other waves. So let's put 1 or 2, something like that. Now we have other waves all the way. And for the waves against wind, I will leave it as it is. Usually we just keep it as it is. And for the seeds, just to change the number to have different pattern. And for the repeat, let's put this 1 and let's put this 3. So we have something now which is different. And let's do some keyframings. I don't want this to be also always generating waves. I just will add another keyframe here or different keyframing. So I will go to edit, and the change is that I will move this into 25. I can just select it, go here, 25. That way all the waves gonna move accordingly. And for this keyframe, I think I will leave it as it is, or just I can put it on 55 just to make sure that they overlap. And here I need to go to perspective because already it jumped to another view accidentally. Again, I have this curve and it's just repeating itself because I copied the other one. And for the height, I don't need it to be as strong as the previous one. I will just bring this number down. Let's say 14 something, any random number, sorry, 14. That's it. Now I have two waves. They are totally different from each other and they move differently also. And basically they have the same position. They will accumulate. This is the good thing about them. And we should see really interesting shape of water. Now what I will do, because it consumed time, I will run the simulation and I will do what I did in the previous tutorial, which is the beach. We reach some degree where all the waves are forming some interesting rolling waves. And then I will stop like in 100 or 120. Then I will go to the domain and make initial state and I will save it so we can reset to 0. Then I will come back because it's just, a very simple step. I think it's easy to do. What I will do again, I will run the simulation now and have this affecting the body of water. And to make sure of that, we can go here and choose both of these. Make sure they are disconnected from the hub because I want them just to affect the ocean. Let's choose them and press Ctrl in the keyboard and connect them to the domain. Now they will not affect the other particles later when we create them. And I will move them here because they are forces. So that's it. Now I will create simulate again. Then I will have some waves, and after I will have some waves, I will stop on some frame here in the middle, and I will save initial state for the domain. So when I come back, I will have something interesting at the beginning of the frames. We can do that, and I will come back. Now I waited, and we created something, and I just moved it to the first frame, and this is what we want. Again, now I saved this as initial state. It was like 100. And I changed one thing in the force, ocean force. I went there and I changed this to 10. Actually, this is what I want, not 0.1. And the idea behind that is that I don't really need small details on this ocean force, because the small details are already provided here in this one. And smaller than this, everything smaller than this will be created in the displacement. And that's what I want. Let me just display the frames and see how the whale is moving. Now it's nice, very nice now, because now I have the particles still, but they are not attached totally with his body. And if you notice, this one is so nice, this one around his shoulder, and his hand is dragging good amount of particles. Now when you increase this, the amount of particles, you will see this more, obviously more. Also, I like these because these will guide the splash later, and they will provide really nice lines coming out from the water. Let's go further. Still, we have this thing which is so nice, and I think this is good. Here, let's look at the tail. It's pushing the water in a very nice way. I don't care about here emptiness because, it's shallow. So what I can do is that when I render, I can just color this area down with something similar to dark, blue, dark blue, or something similar to the sea color, and we don't need to really worry about it. Now, all these small particles you see here, when we simulate with a bigger resolution, they will form some kind of swirls and really interesting shapes. Now, as you can see also, I don't have really particles stick to his body. Just a small amount. Let's go, let's 80. In 80, we have no particles attached to his body, which exactly what I want. Of course, you can do whatever you want. And one thing you may take in consideration. So the whale was, as we mentioned before, closing his mouth when he was here. But he started opening his mouth in this area. Usually we expect the whale to have water inside his mouth. Even if he will open his mouth after he goes out for the water, we expect to have some water here. When we add the splash and the foam, we will have some water coming from this area, but also we have the wet. The wet particles, originally they are created from the whale body. Means that we can create some particles from his body. Whenever he touches the water, he will be an emitter for other kind of particles. I advise you to test this thing. It's not easy to find the right parameters for it, but it's just worth to try. This is not the typical application for the wet. Usually we put it for some rocks here or something, not for animated object, but it's worth to try.